Hi everyone, welcome back. So I know it's been a while since I posted a video. It's been maybe 1.5 to 2 weeks since I did my last video. And there's a good reason, good explanation. I was working on a project that has been slowly coming together. And I finally said, let me focus, put my all into it, get this done, because I had a specific date I wanted to take care of it by. And also on top of that, I needed to do a lot of restocking and creating products for this particular project. I, of course, will do a video to give you guys an update so you can see what the project is. I'm excited about it. But today's video, I need to restock on my body butters. And I remember Shelly Belly, I think, she mentioned that she wanted to, see a video on the body butters. So the one that I'm going to work on today, we call it for our website or in our store, I call it Matcha Gold. So I'm pretty much what I'm using is a recipe that I got from Brambleberry, but I added a little bit of oils and stuff to it, and that was it pretty much. This was one of my first body butters that I made. So when I decided to branch off a little bit, I found Brambleberry. Now, if you're interested in making anything like scrubs, body butters, oils, certain soaps and those types of stuff, that is the best go-to place. Their products are phenomenal. I've found other places to buy products in most cases, but the one thing that I do prefer to buy from Brambleberry is their shea butter. Their shea butter is awesome. Other places I've bought them, the shea butter was grainy. I had to keep melting it. And I am more of a, I don't want to work too hard every single time I have to make products because I have a lot of products to make. And occasionally I want to be able to create a body butter that does not require me to melt the butter, let it cool, and then to whip it. So, and I've tested the different feel between your melting of the butter first and then whipping it versus just going and whipping the butter. To me, and I'm not saying that's the case with everyone, but in my opinion, I felt that the method, the results kind of turned out the same pretty much. And, it wasn't much difference to me. So it's a preference. So in this case, I am going to soften the butter. I don't melt it all the way. You can do that with either a double boil method, have a pot and then put a little pan or a glass bowl into that pot of boiling water, and then it will slowly melt the butter. You could put it in the refrigerator to help it cool faster, or the freezer, or you can just leave it out and let it cool. So it's a little bit more time consuming. Or if you want to, you can nuke it in the microwave, maybe for like within 30-second bursts. If you're looking to do something pretty fast. In this case, I'm going to nuke it in the microwave just for a tad bit, just so I could soften the butter, which is not necessary with shea butter. And the other butter I'm going to use today is avocado butter. Avocado butter is very soft, so my concentration that I'm going to use in avocado butter is not going to be a large amount because shea butter is already going to make the whipping very easy. And it's going to be soft. Avocado butter is softer than shea. So the recipe that's on Brambleberry, and I'm going to include it in the description, it's for the matcha green tea body butter project. It's a very easy body butter to make. It's beginner level. So you can pretty much, if you follow the instructions, you can make this particular body butter. So it's on the website. You can also buy the kit, and that's what I love about Brambleberry. All of their projects include a kit, and you can just purchase the kit. It has everything it needs to make that particular item that you're interested in. Once you purchase the kit, if you want to make it again, all you have to do is buy the ingredients that are missing or that you've used up. So it's a little bit expensive with Brambleberry. They cost a little bit more, but it's worth it in the beginning. And then as you develop your own techniques, and you develop your own ingredients, then you can go away a little bit from Brambleberry. But I love them. I still get great ideas from them. I still use some of their projects and recipes on there. And then I just create additional things to make it my own. All right, so with the Matcha Gold that I use shea butter, according to the recipe, shea butter, avocado butter. So we're going to go ahead and get started. And I think, Shelly Belly, this is for you. So with the two butters that I'm using, the shea butter and the avocado butter, they're very good for extra dry skin. It also helps with people with eczema. Sometimes you can actually, or, you know, it's rumored, because I don't like to say that this particular item does a specific thing, because I can use a product and it works great for me. You can use a product, doesn't work, you know. So it just depends on the person, but it is rumored to be, to include some anti-aging properties. It helps reduces wrinkles. It's rumored to also help with rehydrating the skin. And that's with the shea butter, and also the avocado butter does that. Avocado butter also helps reduce like dark marks, and it lightens the skin tone. So for me, whenever I make products, even if I don't include any avocado oil in it, when I use it for myself, because I use my products, I love to add avocado oil because I have very dry skin. And I love the way it softens my skin. It makes my skin, you know, pretty much absorbs the oil, but it doesn't dry out. Because you have some oils that you use, it absorbs quickly into the skin. And then once it absorbs into the skin, it doesn't leave a layer of protection. So you're pretty much dry again. But with avocado oil, I could use it in the morning, and by late evening, I still have that moisturizing property still available. So the other items that we're going to need is green tea extract, which you can purchase from Brambleberry as well. And then they have this arrowroot powder. And what this does, I actually purchased this on Amazon, but what arrowroot powder does, it helps reduce that oily feel. Now, you don't necessarily have to put it in your body butters. But for this particular one, I'm going to go ahead and include it in my body butter. It's best to add the arrowroot powder in the liquid state, because it will help, you know, absorb it into the liquid part of the body butter. If you add it later on, while you're whipping it, that's okay too. Just make sure that you're blending the arrowroot powder into the body butter correctly. Because if you're not careful, you're going to end up with lumps of that arrowroot powder. And as the customer uses it, sometimes they'll find it in that body butter. Now, you're not always going to get it perfect. There are times when I've made body butters and you can still feel like some of the butters that aren't whipped all the way. So that's also one of the benefits for melting it, is you definitely know everything's melted, so when you whip it, it's going to be good. It's going to be smooth. It's going to be creamy. The next thing that the recipe calls for, which is optional, is this item called Optifin. What it does, it helps if you're adding any water or it's going to be exposed to water. So it helps reduce, you know, things like algae or funguses forming. I'm not going to use it in this particular recipe, but I use it in my scrubs sometimes. And the recipe calls for 12-ounce shea butter, 4-ounce avocado butter. I'm not going to use that. I'm going to actually use a combination of shea butter and avocado butter, but I'm going to have shea butter being the majority, and then I add some avocado butter because I don't want it to be too soft where it melts, you know, especially in shipping or anything like that. Because shea butter itself is soft, when you add anything else in there, and we're talking about essential oils, if you add any oils itself, you're changing the properties of that butter. You're making it more liquidy. Now, most makers will say you don't want to do no more than 2% with oils or anything like that, because you don't want it to overpower the butter. Or you could do a 2-to-1 when you're adding oils. 1% essential oils, I've read. So I pretty much abide by the rule. I blend and I do a little at a time if I'm going to add oils. I add a little bit at a time. I may do maybe 1 ounce. If I'm doing about a pound of butter, I may add 3 ounces of oils, depending on how I want that butter to feel and how much I want it to be soft. So it's up to you, but if you're going to add anything, just do it slowly. That way you don't have a watery butter and then it turns into maybe lotion. So you just have to be careful with that. So I'm going to go ahead and put on my gloves. So I will definitely leave the links in the description of the items that were used and where I purchased them, which in essence is going to be the same link for the project itself. So I'm not going to add each individual item. But here I have a mixer. I bought this on Amazon. You could use a regular mixer or you can use a handheld mixer. And in most cases when I do handheld, I like using a glass bowl. But because I'm doing this particular mixer right here, I'm going to use the metal bowl that comes with it. Here's my glass container. I'm going to put the butter in first because I want to nuke the shade just a little bit. And I'm going to go ahead and change it to pounds. And I'm going to put, come on. Okay, there we go. It's zeroed out. So I have shea butter over here in the corner, which I got from Brambleberry. This is the only place I buy my shea butter, because the other places I've purchased shea butter from has pretty much, hold on one. So the other places, excuse me for a second, I forgot to get my water. But the other places I've purchased my shea butter from, the shea butter has pretty much ended up grainy, and I had to melt it in order to get that smooth texture. Brambleberry has shea butter that is completely smooth. It doesn't give that grainy feel, and I can make recipes, or I can make body butters without actually melting the shea butter. So that's what I love about it. So right here, I'm gonna cut this big old chunk of shea butter. This right here. And what you want to do is to cut up your shea butter in like little pieces. It makes it easier to blend, makes it easier to melt if you're going to melt it, or if you're going to blend it, so you don't have to melt it. So I'm going to cut it up in these little pieces, and I'm just going to put it in this container. So when I make it, I usually do about a pound. And a pound will give me, I'll say about, depending on what size jars I'm using, I do like 4 ounces, 8 ounces, 16 ounce, and some 2 ounces for either anyone who wants to purchase those, or anyone who's interested in like samples when they come, you know, when I do orders. And I'm ordering anyone orders a candle, sometimes I'll send them a shea body butter as a free item. So that's something to keep in mind, especially for those of you guys who are making candles but want to branch off. When you're ready to branch off into those particular areas, in most cases, customers are going to know you for candles. So they're a little bit cautious when you start offering them something new. In the beginning, what I did is I started giving them free samples of anything else I offer. Like I do body wash and shower gels. I went ahead and gave free samples of that to them. And that's how they started getting into my other products. So I'm going to do a little bit more of this. And let's see if we could get to the amount that I want. So all I'm going to do is put this in the microwave for like maybe about a quick 30 seconds. And if need to be, I'll do another 30 seconds. So this is a little chunky today, but I'm going to nuke it. But if you wanted to just blend it, you can as well. So this is going to be a two-part video. I'm going to show you how to make it, and then I will show you what jars I use to store the products and how I pipe it. So that'll give you a little bit of the full effect. So we're almost there. So I'm going to take this out. I don't want that much of it. Okay, that should be good. I'm going to put a little bit in there. Waste not, want not, because it's not cheap. So try not to waste it. And I like using this knife. I keep it's in the bag with the shea butter, and it makes it easier to cut it. You can also use like the soap knife and go ahead and put it in there as well. All right. And then this, what I do is I spray a paper towel with alcohol just so I don't get the butter all over the place. And then I just keep that item there to spray. When you're dealing with items, skin items, things that people use on their face and those types of things, you have to be extra careful because skin is sensitive. When you're making candles, you don't have to be as, what is the term? I'm drawing a blank, but you know, when I make candles, I'll wear gloves because I don't like the feel of the oils and stuff like that sometimes. So sometimes I make gloves, sometimes I won't. But when you're dealing with any of these items, skincare items, things for the face, things for the body, you want to be very protective. PPE, you want to do that. So I'll use gloves. During COVID, we masked. We even got little covers. Aprons, those types of things to protect customers. Definitely didn't want to take any chances with our customers. So next, I'm going to take my little spoon, and this is already cleaned. So I prepare my products by taking like a little bit of bleach, warm water. I like hot water, so I'm not going to tell anyone to use hot water, but I use hot water and some bleach and some Dawn detergent, and I wash everything in it. And then I put it in the dishwasher to drain and run like the dry part. And then when I get ready to use it, I rub like this down with alcohol and rub the inside of the pan also with alcohol. And then I go ahead and get started. So this is avocado butter. I got this off of Etsy. This is another company that I found on Etsy. You know what? I'm not going to add the avocado body butter yet. Let me go ahead and add it. It won't hurt anything. But I found this company on Etsy called Salou Organics, and I'll include that link. They have awesome butters. I just don't like their shea butter because it's grainy. So I buy my oils from them and other items as well that I use in my body products, as well as the other place. What is that other company? There's another Bulk Apothecary. I also purchase my products from. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to throw this in the microwave for a quick second. And I have a room where I pretty much have everything set up. And I do all my creation in this room. And it's not open to the public, basically. The only reason you're going to be in here is if you're working, and that's it. So I'm very protective of my space. So I'm going to nuke it a little bit to soften it. And I'm going to follow the steps according to what Brambleberry says. And that way you guys will have an idea when you do go ahead and copy those steps and try to follow it. So as I mentioned before, this is going to be a two-part video. We're just going to make the body butter, and then I'll show you how I package them. And then I of course create my own labels. In the beginning I sent some off to be printed, but the cost can add up if you have a lot of products. So what I do is I create my own labels, and I use Canva, and I do Photoshop. So I also do photography as well on the side. So, you know, it pretty much made it a little bit easy for me to get into it. But if you are not familiar with Photoshop too well, Canva is the way to go. All right, so I softened the butter a little bit. And once I put everything, scraped it out of container. Remember, waste not, want not. Body butters are too expensive to waste. So scrape all you can out of here. So what we're going to do is we're pretty much going to start on a low to medium blend when we're blending. So I put everything in there, and we're going to do a low to medium blend. Now I have the instructions here. So you're going to add the body butter, and we're going to turn the mixer on medium, and we're going to whip the two body butters together. So I'm going to do that, and then I will add the 2 ounces of green tea and cucumber fragrance oil, which I've swapped out the fragrance oil. And if you want to add the Optifin, this is where you will add it. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and mix it for a bit and put it in the mixer. Make sure that everything is sealed, because if you're not careful, especially if you're mixing it while it is soft or liquidy, if you're not careful, you'll end up basically making a mess. So I'm going to place the cover down, and then I'll start at a medium. There we go. So you're going to blend it for a little bit. I'm going to step away from it so you don't pick up the noise too much of it. And in between mixing, as you're mixing it, you're going to pause, and you're going to scrape the butters from the side. Okay. So what I would like to do is go ahead and add this green tea extract, and they want us to do 0.3 ounce. So I weigh everything. I don't do measurements because when you take in mind, depending on the liquid itself, it affects the, you know, if you do it in weight, you actually get something that says 3 ounces by a measuring cup, but then you weigh it, it may be less or it may be more, depending on how heavy the liquid is. So we're going to use, I have my little measuring shot glass, put it on the scale, make sure I put it on ounces. Okay, and I'm going to do 0.3. So we're almost there. There we go. It's a little bit over, but because I'm doing more than I need to, actually, let me do a little bit more because I forgot I did 1 pound. So I'm going to do about 0.5. Okay, move this here. And my mixer has a cover where there is a hole that I can add ingredients to our components. So hopefully the mixer is not too loud and you guys can't understand me. So I'm going to pour that in. And then I'm going to go ahead and increase the speed. Okay, so I've whipped it for a while, and you guys can see it's pretty smooth. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, it's pretty smooth. So at this point, before I continue whipping it anymore, because it's going to get more fluffy, I added some oils, and I forgot to show you guys that. What I did was I added Metafoam oil, which is also good for dry skin. And I added like some other, like a mixture of oil that I made myself. I put different mixtures of oils and I keep it in a container. and I use it a lot of times for my body butters. Now, when you're thinking of adding oils to body butters, keep in mind it can weigh the butter down, so it won't be as fluffy versus if you just use butters and no oils. So now we're going to add the arrowroot powder. So the best time to add it is when it's still, you know, in that soft stage, and if you melt it while it's a little bit still melted, because it will mix in pretty good with it. So we're going to do 1 ounce of it. You can go ahead and use your scale if you want to. Now, I'm not a fan of arrowroot, but I love it. So it's a little, it sounds contradicting, right? And I'm going to pour 1 ounce into here. Hopefully I don't make a mess, so let's see. It's one of the hardest things to measure because it's so messy. It's like messing with powder. So I'm not going to do 1 ounce. I'm only going to do like half an ounce, you guys. But it says to use 1 ounce. I didn't like the 1 ounce when I used it before, because to me, when I used 1 ounce of the arrowroot powder, it got rid of all of the oil. And I want oil. You know, one thing a lot of my customers love is they get the oil. They don't get the greasy feel, but they get the oil. So I'm only going to do, probably not even going to do this amount. Let me pour the rest in there. So I am not a huge fan of getting rid of the oil and getting rid of the grease, or all of the grease. So let me scrape some of it out. All right. So what you're going to do when you use arrowroot powder, you're going to use the spatula and you're going to fold it in. And this is so it could get into the mixture. And then when you start using the mixer to put everything together, it doesn't fly all over the place. So just fold it in and mix it in yourself. And then let's go ahead and add it to the mixer. Let's turn on the mixer, and we're going to increase the speed of the mixer. I don't know if you noticed when I was blending or mixing it, I changed the speed in it. And that also helps with increasing the fluffiness. All right. Let's put it back under the mixer. I'm going to tighten the bowl so it doesn't fly all over the place. And then here we go. So while doing this, I realized that I'm going to need to add more because it's not going to give me the amount that I'm looking for. The amount of body of containers that I want to fill. So I'm just going to add a little bit more shea. And I softened it a little bit. And I'm going to add a little bit more of the avocado oil. Thought I had a spatula, but I guess not. Okay, so let me get another one. Here we go. And I'm going to add some more of my avocado butter. So this video isn't going that great tonight. But I'll rather stop and adjust instead of having to make another batch. And I needed to make more than I normally would make. Where is the cover for this? All right. And what I'm going to do is go ahead and mix it all up. So if you find as you're making your body butter that you need to make some changes, do it while you're making it. Just keep in mind the ratio of your products and make sure that you're getting your end result. So I'm going to go ahead and put it on, ouch. Ooh. I'm going to put it on a low speed because a lot of it is liquid right now since I went ahead and melted the butter again. And it's going to take a moment to thicken up. So I'm going to blend it for a while and watch it get to where I want it to get, okay? So hopefully the noise won't affect you too much. Okay, so I've whipped it for a while. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do the fragrance oil. Let me show you what it looks like before I add the fragrance oil. So I like to whip mine for about 10 minutes. Sometimes I'll even go 20 minutes. But it's not necessary to whip your body butter for that long. So look at how fluffy it is. Let me bring it a little closer for you guys to see it. Look at that. Smooth and fluffy. So I don't know, it's kind of like whipped cream. So I don't know if you guys noticed as I was whipping, I kept on stopping. And what I was doing was scraping the sides of the mixer to make sure that any of the ingredients that get on the side while it's mixing will properly get mixed into the butter. So you want to stop every once in a while, scrape the sides, and just put it in. Oh, this is going to be awesome. Look how soft this is. Let me see. There we go. I think that's a better view. It's like whipped cream. Look at that. Okay, look at that. Awesome. So now, and I like to do a little hand mixing as well. Now the handheld mixer, what I love about the handheld ones is you can basically control where it goes. You can move it all around. Whereas the mechanical one or the electrical one, the machine itself, it's going to go where the machine allows it to go. So we're going to do, it says 0.2 ounce of fragrance oil. So that's another thing. I don't always go with that because it may not give it the fragrance depending on how much you do. So because I did a lot more, what I like to do is I will use a pipette in most cases, but this time I'm not. And I sprinkle in fragrance oil to my liking. because I want to smell the fragrance at least a little bit. If it's a light fragrance, I want to make sure that there's a light, you know, there's a fragrance to it. So how much was this? This was 0.5. I'm going to start with that, and I'm going to mix it in. And you want to make sure you mix in that fragrance real good, because you don't want, when you're piping it into the containers, 5 out of the 10 containers, or how many containers you're doing, is going to get all the fragrance oil. So you want to make sure the fragrance oil is getting into every container. So you want to mix it in real good. So I'm smelling it. This is one of my lighter fragrances. The next butter I have to make is a pumpkin oat milk type fragrance for fall. Let me tell you, I love that body butter. And I have body wash and soaps with it. I'm a pumpkin oat person, so that is one of my favorite fragrances, and it actually sells pretty fast. Believe it or not, I'm not the only one that will wear pumpkin year-round, fall fragrance year-round. So I'm going to go ahead and turn on the mixer. I'm making a mess. And I'm going to go ahead and let these mix some more. Okay, I think we've pretty much mixed in the fragrance oil enough. And I don't know if I mentioned, what you're doing is you're mixing the butter. You're going to start on a low speed, and you'll gradually speed it up to be about a medium speed. Sometimes I do a little bit faster to get everything in. And then you're adding your ingredients as you go. You want to do your butters together first. And then you can add your oils, your arrowroot, those other ingredients. But you want to make sure your butters are mixing in and they're combining very well so that the whole base is combined. And then I like to add my fragrance oil last after I add my other ingredients. So hopefully this video has helped with making body butters. As I mentioned before, I will add the link to the recipe or the project that I found on Brambleberry for this particular butter. I, of course, added oils to mine. So it's up to you. Some people don't like adding additional oils because the butter itself is its own oil. But I like occasionally adding additional oils to my body butters. So it's completely up to you. Just don't overdo it with the oils. And of course, look, there you go. Did you see how whipped that is? It's very fluffy. Trying to get it out of the glare of the camera. Oop. All right. Stay tuned for part 2. I'm going to show you basically how I do my body butter, how I get it into the containers. I'm going to let you know which containers I use. And then you can see the end of my process. This was a long video, so I'm doing a part, cut it in 2 parts. That way I won't bore you guys to death. Okay, thank you for watching. Stay tuned and look out for part 2.